So let me just start by saying that I do this a lot. I get invited or I get into open betas, closed betas, I get early games, all of that. It's just a thing that kind of happens sometimes around here. This might be... Hold on, let me start from the beginning before I get ahead of myself, as always. I got into the open beta for the finals. I've kind of been hearing about this game here and there, but honestly, there are so many of these FPS live service things coming out that I can't keep track of them all. But anyway, I see that it's up, I see that some of my friends are playing it, and I'm like, hey, let me see if I can get in. I get in. I want to give them props and kudos for, first things first, having like the message saying, hey, this is a beta, yada yada yada, all of your typical it's not done yet messaging. That's fine. All of them have that. All of them had that. To be expected. I would give them more props for immediately after that screen having the settings just open. That's great. Everybody wants to make sure that their settings are right. Sensitivity, nobody likes motion blur, and that was off by default, so, you know, they were gonna win some, were going to win some points for that. First off, on the settings screen, I was having major technical issues. Why was the audio going so crazy? Why was it lagging on the settings screen? Literally nothing was happening yet. But it's a beta, so we give that a pass. It's fine. They could change it. I get it. Bugs happen. There's another big problem though. Not only can you not turn off anti-aliasing, you also can't turn off DLSS. For what? For what purpose would you deny people the option? Because this is an options menu. This is an options menu. For what possible reason could you have to deny people the option to turn off all that extra junk? Okay, so that's a little bit annoying. A lot of settings that I don't particularly like, then that don't particularly do anything for me visually. They don't improve the game at all. They don't make it look better. Whatever. I get my settings the way that I want them to be, and after you get done doing your settings, I play a little cutscene, kind of showing off some cinematic junk. This is the finals, there's destructible environments and gunplay, and it's fast and fun. Super.
Welcome to the finals, the world's greatest game show. And we're bigger, bolder, and more thrilling than ever.
Watch our contestants duke it out in the hustle and bustle of Seoul and Monaco. Plus, we're rolling out our new Skyway Stadium with Volpe's high-tech jump pads. No matter where we are, you'll see our contestants using our ultra-dynamic arenas to their advantage.
And our generous sponsors are stocking the show with eye-popping gear.
Time to give our fans what they want. Let's get started.
After that cutscene plays, you get into the quote-unquote tutorial. I have said so many times that your game needs to have a tutorial, and I still stand by that. I'm right. I'm right. It doesn't matter if your game is in beta, alpha, early access, closed access, closing down. Your game needs to have a tutorial. It's very important. What does this tutorial consist of? activate a box, pick it up, put that box inside of a bigger box machine thing. Wait. And that's about it. No explanation for how the game modes work. No explanation for really what these boxes do. It has something to do with money. And I know that, like, these game modes, you, like, earn as much money before the other teams can. I don't know because they didn't freaking tell me. So anyway, it drops you into this, like, training mode room. You can test out your guns and your loadouts, and there's obstacles and target dummies and all that other junk. So I go, alright, it's a shooter. Let's just load up into a match and get some shooting. I'm gonna show you how that went. Also, let me just say that if your game is in early access or some sort of beta, and you're advertising a season pass or any sort of in-game monetization, knock it off. You're a game developer, not a beggar. Be better. People don't even know if they're going to like your game yet, and you're already trying to weasel your hands into people's pockets. It's disgusting. It's shameful. Stop doing it. It doesn't matter if the season pass carries over into the full game's release. It doesn't matter what sort of bonuses you're giving. The purpose of your beta should be to test stability and player interest, not to gauge how much money you can make as fast as possible. I'm sick of this. I didn't record any of what I was saying during this match because obviously, I mean, hopefully you can tell based off of the gameplay I didn't have anything particularly positive to say. Why is the time to kill so long? Why does base weapon damage do so little? Why is it faster and more effective to kill people with a sword than it is to shoot them in the face with several rounds from an AK-47? I just want it to make sense, honestly, at this point. Just explain it in a way that's like, if you can spin the narrative, maybe at some point or another, it was a good idea. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe somebody thought they were doing something that was really clever, but everybody in that match quit out because the team that took the lead just understood the game better or had better equipment. I mean, it seemed like it because we were shooting them and they weren't going down, but as soon as they started shooting us, we dropped like flies. Like, maybe it was a pay-to-win thing, maybe it was a premium weapon, loadout ability, I don't know. Because the game didn't freaking tell me. I didn't even manage to complete that round because after a while it was literally their entire team versus little old me. And all of the technical difficulties aside, even if this game had ran flawlessly from the moment I booted up to the moment I closed it, even if my teammates hadn't quit out of the match, the camera felt terrible. The guns felt like toys. And what little bit I was able to play, I immediately thought, wow, I would literally play any other FPS right now. Call of Duty? I never played a Call of Duty before. I'd play it over this. Tarkov? Absolutely. Send me back to the pit. I'll go. I don't care. I don't want to play that. I'd rather play Tarkov than the final. I'd rather play Apex. I'd rather play Fortnite. I'd rather play Titanfall 2. I'd rather play Battlefield 2070, whatever. I'm sure a lot of people are going to play this game and find some sort of enjoyment, some sort of satisfaction out of it, and that's fine. But there are so many other first-person shooters, competitive first-person shooters, that do everything better, that I can't help but wonder, like, who is this really for? Who is this for? Normally, when a game product takes Nexon off of its page, it's for the sake of the game itself. Like, they don't want it to be associated with Nexon. But I genuinely believe that not having Nexon as the publisher on the Steam page is doing Nexon the favor. That's messed up. So, upon a little bit of Twitter scrolling, it turns out that some of the announcer voices, or all of the announcer voices, seem to be done by AI. Now, I previously did a video talking about how you could use AI in an artistic fashion. Somebody did some amazing AI art, and it's a very involved and detailed process. But this isn't that. This is just lazy. I mean, I get that you can't afford to hire some top-tier voice actors. I get that. I understand. But anybody who can speak can play the role of announcer, and in fact, having an announcer in a first-person shooter can be kind of distracting. So, if you just couldn't find anyone to do it, you can just not have any announcer. You didn't have to resort to AI. Especially with it being as controversial as it is right now. I don't think that that's a very sound move for you to make for your new game. Okay, so I've been putting the screws to this game pretty hard. But let's talk about what this game would have to do to bring you back around to it. What changes and fixes do they need to bring to the table to get me back on board? Don't worry, I'm not going to bring up any technical stuff. We'll just assume that optimizing the game is par for the course. So aside from technical stuff, what do they need to do? For one, they need to redo their options. We need the ability to turn off anti-aliasing and DLSS. There's no reason for that to be always on or some sort of requirement. It doesn't do anything to the game's visual because the environments and graphics are kind of, they're not plain, but it's very, very clean. It kind of reminds me of Mirror's Edge Catalyst, I want to say, where there are vibrant colors, but they aren't really textured. No, not textured. They're not materialed. So, like, it's kind of difficult to describe, but you just have to kind of take a look at it for yourself to get what I'm trying to say. There's no foliage, there's no woodlands, there's no need for having, like, it doesn't require that sort of graphical fidelity, honestly. There's no real fog. The environments are kind of one note, and that note just doesn't need that sort of thing. It's not required. So get rid of it. Secondly, do not, I repeat, do not have Battle Pass stuff on the main menu. At the very least, make sure that it's somewhere visible, of course. But don't throw it in people's face with a bunch of pop-ups that we have to click out of before we can actually play the game. In other words, your advertising for your monetization is way too intrusive. Please stop. Next is revamp your tutorial. You need to explain not only movement, aiming, shooting, but you also need to explain stuff like the abilities and the game modes and how they work. Having us run up to a box and activate it, and then run up to another box and activate it with no context or any idea as to what it does for the game is not a tutorial. It's just not. Next, we have actual gameplay stuff. You need to make your guns feel like guns. I'm fairly certain I got several headshots. A majority of my magazine from the AK-47 landed. I landed more shots than I missed, and my target didn't go down. So you need to completely rebalance all of your gunplay, all of your damage and stuff. It's okay if you want to have interesting stuff like a melee option that's viable against guns, but you still need to make sure that your guns feel like guns. And if there are stronger variants or power-ups or something like that, you need to make sure that people understand that before they go in. Which leads me into my next thing. Maybe make a game mode that doesn't have those power-ups or abilities or weapons that do more damage. I don't know if that was a premium weapon or just a higher level weapon than the one I was using, but it really did feel like I had absolutely no chance against it. So, even the playing field, because if you want it to be a competitive shooter, and I get the feeling that that's exactly what you want it to be, then you need to make it a, I won't say fair, because that's a whole core A gaming lesson, but you need to make it an even playing field, so that new players don't get absolutely stomped out by veteran players. If it's a skill issue, that's fine, but when it comes down to just your opponent having better everything than you, that's when it becomes a problem. That being said, a lot of the press for this game, a lot of coverage, a lot of reviewers are saying that they had a lot of fun with the finals. I don't believe them. I don't have any proof or evidence that they were being like paid or bribed to saying positive things about the game, but I'm looking around and a lot of my friends have played the game exactly one time and haven't opened it ever since. And I'm among those people who opened the game one time and I don't want to play it anymore. As far as like streaming and video numbers, I'm seeing people, a lot of people are currently streaming it, but I feel like that's just because it's the new game. I don't know. We obviously have to wait and see how this is going to go, but I feel like if they don't address some of this stuff immediately, like immediately right away, they're going to see these numbers drop off really, really hard. And my claims are backed up by the fact that we've seen this happen before. Look at Gundam Evolution. That Battle Royale one. The Cycle Frontier. I feel like there are some others out there, but again, it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like this one's just going to join the group. I don't sense any longevity from it, but again, we'll see.